Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth from the community library, and today I'm going to be talking about how to cut the cord. So it's going to be all about how to stop paying for cable without ditching your TV. Now, I did this program previously. Before the pandemic, I did it in person, and then there's also a YouTube video up on our YouTube channel with that same presentation. But I wanted to update it because things have kind of changed since 2020, 2019. So this is going to kind of be an overview of how to go about cutting the cord and then some resources for you at the end. So let's get started. So the first thing, and probably why you're watching this, is why you want to cut the cord. So this is a really important thing to think about when you're starting the process of getting rid of cable or changing things, because then it helps you in the future when you're making decisions. You can focus on why you're doing this in the first place. So some of the reasons might be how much you're paying for cable. So that's a big reason. A lot of people feel like the high price of cable doesn't really match with what they feel like they're getting with cable. So you might be looking to cut costs. Another reason is you might not want a landline home phone number anymore. And while you're canceling that, you might as well cancel cable too, so you just have internet. Because a lot of people don't have landline phones anymore. Another reason you might be looking to cut the cord is avoiding the long-term contracts that you have with cable. So you usually have year-long or like terms you're locked into for a long time. When you cut the cord and switch over to a different service, most of the time you're going to be able to cancel anytime you want. So you can do month by month. You won't be stuck in something like cable. And another big reason is all of the original shows and movies that are only available through streaming services, or they're only available when they air through streaming services. So a lot of big shows that are really popular right now, like Squid Game, Yellowstone, The Witcher, The Underground Railroad, these are all shows that aired first on streaming services like Netflix or HBO Max or Prime, Amazon Prime. So if you want to be able to see these shows right away, you have to have an account or be signed up. So these are just some of the main reasons. It's just something to think about. The next thing you're going to want to do is think about what you're doing right now. So, like I said, think about why you want to get rid of cable and what you want at the end of this process. Cutting the cord isn't for everyone. So, you want to think about what you want at the end of this. And you also want to be flexible and do some research beforehand. There isn't one way to go about cutting the cord. What you want, it might be totally different than what someone else might want. Another thing is you want to think about and look at what kind of wireless internet you have. So if you have Wi-Fi, do you use it? Is it fast? Would it be able to let you watch TV without the cable in your house? So a thing I'm going to talk about a little bit later is you're going to want to have good Wi-Fi to be able to watch shows when you cut the cord. And another thing too is, do you have a TV that you can connect to the internet or plug a device into that can handle streaming? Most TVs will be able to, especially if you have a newer TV. But it's just something to think about, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. So, just an overview. Once you cut the cord, how do you watch TV? That can be kind of a confusing question. So as long as you have internet, like Spectrum and Wi-Fi, you can watch TV. So you can use a smart TV that connects to the internet. You can use a streaming device like a Roku or a Fire TV from Amazon, or you can even use an antenna to watch TV. Which one you use or the different ones that you use depends on what you want from cutting the cord. So, like I said, before you actually cancel cable and cut the cord, you want to do some research to make sure it's right for you. So just going over some of the basics. I said streaming a little bit, but you might be confused. What is streaming? So it's TV shows, movies, and other original videos delivered through an internet connection. So if you think of something like YouTube, if you watch YouTube videos on your phone or on your computer, that is kind of like streaming. Or if you watch videos on Facebook, that is streaming. In the terms of cutting the cord, streaming usually refers to doing that on a television instead of like on your phone. So you would watch TV shows delivered through the internet on your TV. So when you access it, you would, like I said, use a smart TV, you use a device like your phone or stick, or a laptop or computer. And generally, how these streaming services work is that you pay a monthly rate for unlimited access to the content with no long-term contract. So it's something that you are able to go month by month, and you'll have their whole catalog available to watch at the same time. So like I mentioned before, important thing to do for streaming and cutting the cord is to check your internet speed. So internet and Wi-Fi can have different speeds, different times of the day, or depending on who your provider is. So the term they use is megabits per second, and you'll need at least 5, but really you should have around 10 to 25 megabits per second, and more is always better. It all depends on how many people are using your internet at the same time. Do you have a lot of people that use the Wi-Fi? Then you'll need more megabits per second. A great resource is speedtest.net. You can go on there, and it just has a button you click, and they will test your internet speed for you. And then you can kind of decide if that's good or if you need to talk to your provider. So if you are not satisfied with your internet provider, or if you need to get internet, you can use a great website called broadbandnow.com, where you just plug in your zip code and they'll give you all of the providers that we have available in the area with reviews and what they offer. As you may know, Spectrum is the most easily available option, but if you plug it in, you can see it gives you some different options like Frontier or T-Mobile Home Internet. As you can see, the percentages available vary greatly, so Spectrum is your most likely option. So once you have your internet and you're satisfied with all that, the next thing that you can look at is streaming devices. So these are things that you can plug into your TV and use that to connect your TV to the internet. And there's a bunch of different options that I'll talk about. So the first thing you'll want to do, and which I always recommend, is doing some research before you make a decision on which one you want to purchase. So there's a lot of different ones like Roku, Fire TV. It's like, how do you know which one you want to use? You can look up some reviews, and on the next slide, I'm going to show you some different ideas of where you can look. But you want to make sure to see what they offer, what you need, and what you're looking for. So there's 2 different kinds of streaming devices. There's stick devices, which actually kind of look like this here. So they're just like a little stick you plug into your TV, and they're usually the cheapest option, but there are more expensive options as you get more features. And each device has its pros and cons. So like I said, you want to think about what you want out of it. And one main thing to note too is if you have a smart TV or a connected TV, you don't necessarily need to buy a device. So what makes a TV smart is that it's connected to the internet itself. You don't need another device to connect it to the internet. So if you have one, you can play around with it and see what you can get out of the smart TV by itself. So the most popular devices that you've probably heard of, there's the Roku, which they have a lot of different options for quality levels, and they're really affordable. There's the Amazon Fire TV, so they have a stick or a cube, which is it offers more options. The cube does, and it's more expensive. So that's good if you use Amazon a lot. So if you have Prime and you watch stuff a lot, it's very easy to use that. There's also the Google Chromecast, which is good for Android smartphone and tablet users and fans of Google. And there's also Apple TV, which is if you're already in the Apple ecosystem, like they say it. So if you have a MacBook and iPhone, getting the Apple TV might be a good option for you because it kind of seamlessly works together with those. And another option is if you have a newer gaming console like an Xbox One or a PS4 or 5, they can also let you stream things with the gaming console itself. So, like I said, it can be pretty overwhelming, but if you do some research online or look at consumer reports, that kind of thing, you can get these breakdowns of what all the good streaming devices are and what their different features are. So, that can be good just to give you an idea of how they all compare and which one might be best for you. This one here on the screen is from PC Magazine, and I really like how it breaks down all the different features and the prices and all that kind of stuff. So once you've decided or chosen a streaming device that you think will work for you, you can start exploring the different places or services you can use to watch shows and movies. So these are things like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. These are where you're going to go to watch the content. So there's two different kinds of streaming services. One is on-demand streaming. So think of that kind of like just a big library of shows and movies. You can choose what you want to watch, and then it'll just play it. You're not just jumping in like you would with cable. This is on demand. Or there's something called live TV, or they're sometimes called cable replacement services. So they're more like you just turn on the TV and you watch whatever is on the streaming service at that time. So you're not choosing what you watch necessarily, but it's just always on. So it's always on live TV. And another thing to think about is how many people are going to want to use your streaming service and how you feel about commercials. So I'll go into a little bit later, but a lot of these services their prices vary depending on how many screens or how many people are going to watch it at the same time. So like Netflix has 2 screens, 3 screens, and the price goes up as you want more people to be watching it. And then some will have no commercials, like Netflix has no commercials, or different services will have cheaper versions that have commercials, but you have to pay more to get rid of the commercials. So it just depends on how you feel, and I'll kind of break it down here as we go along. So I'll just kind of go over some of these briefly. You've probably heard or even have an account with a lot of these. So kind of the big 3 are Netflix, Hulu, and Prime Video from Amazon. So Netflix is really what you think of when you're talking about streaming. So even if the show isn't on Netflix, people kind of associate Netflix with this kind of way of watching television. So the cheapest plan starts at $9 a month. And like I said, it goes up depending on what you want. So how many people are going to use it at the same time and so on. So the thing with Netflix is that shows can kind of come and go, but there are no commercials, which is kind of nice. And there comes Hulu. So Hulu is one of the ones that offers plans with and without commercials. So the $7 a month plan comes with commercials, and it goes up a little bit if you don't want commercials, but it also has a live TV plans that start at $65 a month. So when you think about what you're paying for cable right now, that really kind of offsets the cost. So you can kind of explore if you want a live TV that is comparable to cable. And Hulu is great for current TV that's currently airing. But if you have the one with the commercials, there are a lot of commercials. So if you don't want to see ads or anything like that, Hulu might not be the one that you want. And then there's Prime Video, which if you already have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can watch Prime Video for free. But if you buy it separately, it starts at $9 a month. And it has a large selection of movies and original shows. And I would say the main thing for Prime Video is that if you have Amazon Prime, which a lot of us do, it's already free, so you can try it out. And recently there have been a lot of other really great streaming service options that I'll kind of break down quickly here. So there's HBO Max, which has HBO and Warner Brothers content available. So recently they came out with Dune, and you were able to pay a little extra to watch it at home the same day it was released in theaters. So it's kind of a pro for that, but it is more expensive than others. So another popular option is Disney Plus, which has most Disney shows and movies, along with kind of Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff. It's all on Disney Plus. It's really great for families, and it is a reasonable price. There's also Paramount Plus, which is pretty recent, and it replaced CBS All Access. So it has all of CBS shows. So this is really great for fans of the TV shows. Like Yellowstone is on Paramount Plus, so is Survivor. Um, so if you really like their TV shows, that's a good pick for you. And there's also Sling. So this is a live TV service exclusively, and it's probably the most affordable. I think the cheapest plan starts at $35 a month with a variety of channels per tier. So they have different tiers, and usually they have different channels available on one, but not available on the other. So you would have to look at it and see what channels you really want, and then you would be able to pick which tier you like. There's also Fubo TV, which is really great for sports fans. It has a wide selection of live sports, but the channels vary. So there's no TNT, for example. And there's also YouTube TV, which is the um, YouTube version of live TV or cable replacement. So they have a huge number of channels, and they also have the ability to record shows for later. So there's kind of a DVR option if that's something you're looking for. So all the streaming services I've talked about so far are paid. So you do have to pay a monthly fee for using those. But there are a lot of free streaming services that you can check out that I'll talk about here. So the thing with a lot of these is that they're free. You can create an account, but they have commercials. So that's how they pay for their service. Instead of charging you to watch, they're using commercials to support the service. So kind of break each of these down. The first one is kind of different. So that is Hoopla, which you might have heard of before. So this is a library resource. It's a website, and they also have an app for like Roku or the Amazon Fire TV. So you can use it, Hoopla, to check out digital versions of TV shows, movies, and they also have ebooks and audiobooks and that kind of stuff. But you just use your library card to sign up, and then you can check out 4 items a month. So you could use that to check out 4 movies and watch them on your TV. Just an example. I really like using it, and it's pretty handy to have. The next one is Peacock, which is the NBC streaming service. It's free to start, but they also have options for paid subscriptions if you really like the content. I think they have The Office on there. So if you really want to watch it without commercials, you can pay and then be ad free. There's also Crackle, which is an on demand streaming service by Sony. And there's IMDb TV, which has a great variety of content. One I really like is Pluto TV. So they have live streamed and on demand content. I really like their live TV option because they have different channels for different kinds of shows. So they have like a reality TV channel. And like I said, there are commercials, and sometimes the commercials are a little strange, or they'll be louder than the actual show you're watching, but it's something you kind of accept with it being free. You just kind of take what you can get, but it's fun to check out. And another one is Tubi TV, which is an on demand streaming app. And really, this is kind of the tip of the iceberg for free streaming services. You can also use YouTube. Just watching YouTube videos is free. Like I said, they do have ads, but that's a good option. There's also the Roku channel if you have a Roku, PBS, and tons more. So those are just some of the free options that you might want to even check out first, just to see how it works without having to pay. And just like with the streaming devices, the streaming services have lots of reviews online. So you can use Consumer Reports or check out things like this PC Magazine article, which compares each of the services and gives a rating and the different features that they have available. So it can help if you're really overwhelmed. And also, if you have shows that you know you want to have when you're cut the cord, you can use websites like justwatch.com to find out where they're streaming or where you can watch them. So, just for example, here on the bottom, I just searched for Survivor because I love Survivor. So, I want to know where it will be if I want to watch it streaming. So, here you can see it offers streaming options. And you'll notice that Paramount Plus is the only one that has every season. So other streaming services have a couple, but there's only one that has all seasons. So you could use this to figure out which streaming service you want to use. And it's just really fun to kind of look up stuff and see where you can watch it. So another option that's kind of separate from streaming, or you can use it even in addition to streaming, is antennas. So I'll talk about them a little briefly. So if you had an antenna even before cable, it's basically the same thing that it used to be, but more people are kind of getting them again because it's cheaper and you don't have to have an internet connection to use them. So they pick up on main broadcast channels as well as some specialty channels over the air. So there's two main different kinds. There's outdoor antennas, which usually go up high, like on your roof, or recently there are some indoor antennas, which just kind of like this one here, it just sticks on the window. And which one you get kind of depends on where you are, because of course it's an antenna. So what channels you're going to get depends on how much the antenna has access to the air. So sometimes the ones in the window won't give you as many channels, but they're usually cheaper than a regular antenna, so you can just try it out and see what you can get. And if you want to see what's available in your area, there's an fcc.gov website you can use where you just type in your zip code and then it'll give you what channels you can get. They usually include ABC, Fox, NBC, PBS, and all of these channels are broadcast in HDTV and are free. But like weather interference can sometimes affect the quality. So it depends on if you're around a really wooded area, sometimes your reception won't be as good, depending on where the antenna is. So as we kind of finish up here, the main thing I wanted to emphasize is that you really can be savvy about it. The best thing, and the reason a lot of people are attracted to streaming and cutting the cord, is because there are no long-term contracts. So you can take advantage of free trials. A lot of the services that I mentioned, if you sign up, they usually give you either a week free trial or a month free trial, but they will ask you to put in your credit card information, so make sure you cancel before it bills you again for the next month. But it's a great thing just to try out and see what's available. Another great thing that you can do with cutting the cord is if you know that you, like a show is airing that you're interested in, or maybe a sports event, it's only on one service, you can just subscribe for that time that the show is airing and then cancel afterwards. So like I know Yellowstone just has a new series. I think the series finale was last weekend. So if you wanted to watch Yellowstone on Paramount Plus, you can just subscribe for the times it's airing and then cancel once the finale is over. So you can kind of think a la carte. So like I mentioned before, think about what are you watching right now? What do you really want to have after you cut the cord? A really great piece of advice that I saw is that before you cut the cord, just for a month or like a week or two, just write down everything that you're watching in a notebook. And then you can see, okay, what shows do I really want to have going forward? And that will help you just focus. If you get, say, like an HDTV antenna and a streaming device and a couple streaming services, can really go a long way for a lot cheaper than traditional cable will give you. And just some final notes here. If you're really on the fence about whether you want to cancel cable or not, see how you can get use out of your current cable package and a device. So if you have the funds, try getting a device like a Fire TV or a Roku. You can try that out while still having cable and see how you feel about it. Or if you aren't using your current cable as much as you'd like, try doing on-demand stuff. I know Spectrum offers an app that you can use to watch shows on your phone or laptop. So it's just a way to get more out of what you currently have. Like I said, you also don't need to cancel your cable right away. Get the device first. You can try out some free streaming services, see if you have any troubles, and then go ahead with cutting the cord. And just as a self promo, you can also use your library to check out DVDs and Blu rays. So I just have a picture here of our Twin Lakes. We have a ton of DVDs, but also through our library system, other libraries have Blu rays you can check out. So if that's something you're interested in, you can order them with your library card and then get them sent to either Twin Lakes or Salem. And it's really handy, and there's a ton available if you go on our catalog. Okay, so that was all I had, but the last thing I want to show you is a little website that I made up with all of the resources from this presentation, just because I know it's really overwhelming, and this will give you a place to look for things. So if you go to, it's tinyurl.com/cutthecordcl, there is a website that I made, which I will show you in just a second, that has all of the resources I used and links and stuff that you can go to on your own. So if you go to tinyurl.com/cutthecordcl, this is the website that I had. So on the first homepage, it just has kind of like the same overview that I gave with just some of the breakdowns, quick guides, where to check your internet speed, the broadband.now, and different resources that you can look at. And also on the left side here, I have links for the different streaming devices and streaming services. So it's just a good place to go to if you're a little overwhelmed and don't know where to look. I just have all the links here. So if you click on the picture or the link, it'll take you to that website. I also have some information about antennas, as well as Hoopla, how to sign up if you haven't already and get it on your streaming device. I also have the slides from the presentation if you want to look at them by themselves, and also some contact information if you're looking for it. So it's just a great resource. I thought it would be nice to have this all available for you. And that is all I had for today. I hope that was helpful in kind of getting you started. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at eohara@communitylib.org. Thanks for watching.